House featuring well-known Broadway and Hollywood stars. And for the youngsters, Elitch has its own Kittyland, a blessing for vacationers who hire a young babysitter, deposit the youngsters with her for the day, then pick them up again just before supper time. The kids have a ball, and they won't even know you've been gone.
Let's go.
Feel this.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the DNBA show. Doing things a little bit differently tonight. Just a little bit. I'm hosting instead of Adam. Not a big difference at all, really. Maybe in quality. We'll find out. Joining me to my top, Adam, how do you do this? Is it my right? Or
Yeah.
Is that my?
Yeah.
The way you do it,
It's opposite.
Yeah. The way you do it is, if it makes an L, that's your left hand. I just taught my daughter this.
Okay,
There you go. Yeah, the other one's your
That's
right.
the question. Well, that's Adam Martes. How's it going, man?
Good, man. It's good to not be in the hosting chair.
Yeah, you look relaxed. You look loose.
Very relaxed.
Below Adam, hiding the beautiful mane, had it up. It's everyone's favorite Harrison Wind. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? I got the Broncos at 10-6 this year.
Oh,
Wow. Great way to start the Nuggets podcast. Eric, do you have any more Broncos?
Schedule just came out. I got him at 10-6.
I don't like that Harrison is put his hair back into Ben Wallace cornrows. He's like all tight again. Like I liked it when he was loose last
We're on
night.
the road tonight.
Wearing the peaky hat, always loose. It's Eric, better known as D-Line.
Yeah, I'm loose. Let's go.
And guys, we've got a very fun show tonight, a reunion of sorts for Adam and myself with the current Big Stiff, filling Adam's old shoes at Denver Stiffs. It's Ryan Blackburn, who we'll be bringing on here in a second. Ryan, what's up, brother?
There he is.
What's up, guys? How are you?
Live from the Trap House, it's Ryan Blackburn.
You already know the lights are off, but the party is always going.
I know some of us have picked up like second jobs during the quarantine, Ryan. But like, man, I didn't
Yeah,
think
man.
you would go that far.
Yeah, honestly, the movie theater business is out, but we're running it here at the Blackburn household. Lights are always down.
Black market movies. Ryan, how has quarantine been treating you, man? I haven't talked to you at all since.
It is awful. I hate this shit so bad. Honestly, it was great until about the month and a half threshold, where if you're a blogger, this is kind of the life that you're always used to, where you're always writing online, you're talking with people on Twitter. That's just the general thing. But it got to the playoff time where we're really supposed to be in house, be at Pepsi Center, and enjoy everything. And man, it sucks to not be there right now.
Yeah.
I've almost had a hard time like doing basketball stuff right now, whether that's consuming or creating content. Like it almost feels, I don't know if futile is the word or sad. What's your relationship been like to the actual game itself? I know you're such a numbers dude. What's your work been like?
It's been the exact opposite for me. I wanted to continue to get invested in the Michael Jordan stuff. That documentary has been going on, obviously, and everybody's enjoying it. Everybody's podcasting about it. But it reached a certain threshold over the last week or two where, yeah, everybody's podcasting about it. And I would love to get back to talking about 2020 and all the unfinished storylines that have been going on, because the NBA season was as wide open as we've seen it in a long time. And while it could have been Giannis, it could have been Kawhi, it could have been LeBron, like there are a lot of storylines going on that I think are still unwritten, and I'd enjoy talking about them again.
What is so freaking hilarious, dude?
I'm getting roasted in the comments for.
Just 100%
Mr.
true,
Hipster Herder. Oh my. Keep those coming on. For sure.
Yes. Keep going. What else is there? I just want to talk this whole episode about what Eric looks like.
Yeah, Ryan, as you can tell, I'm glad we have you on then, because we've had trouble doing that, talking about the actual basketball on this show. Last night we had Fast Break Breakfast Keith on the show, and he talked a lot about his thoughts on Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, and we got into a conversation we've had a lot on this pod about those two and their ability as a star duo to carry a team to a championship. But I'm glad we have you here tonight, because we've had a lot of people who have had similar thoughts or the same thoughts on Jamal Murray. It's pretty cut and dry for a lot of folks. He's not good enough to be the second best player on a title team, and you sort of push back on that. that notion a lot. So I'm glad you're here with us tonight, and hope you're ready to sword up and defend his honor.
I am ready. It has been a painful experience listening to your podcast and the takes that have come out about Jamal over the last several days, because all of them are the same. It's that he is the second best guy, just not good enough. You can't win with him as your second best player. And I push back on that because Nikola Jokic, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. He can carry a lot of things. And just because your second best player isn't the ideal Kawhi Leonard level, Paul George level of that nature of the two-way wing that you want to have around him, I still think that you can build a championship roster with Jamal as your second best guy. You just have to have good supporting cast.
It's important
I love it.
to set the context here. Keith also said Jokic isn't a top 10 player.
Yeah.
Disregard
everything Keith said.
Like, how many times does he have to push it back that Nikola Jokic better than Joel Embiid? Like, he literally put him right over him. Like, we've settled this debate already.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear Keith say that because he's a Jokic guy. So I was like, a Jokic guy, but kind of not top 10, but whatever. And that stuff that doesn't bother me as much. He agrees he's really good and okay.
Yeah. I feel like all of his takes were coming from a place of Marc Gasol never getting the full respect that he felt like he deserved. So he just was putting that on to Jokic.
Which is so funny because Jokic could have a career arc very much like Marc Gasol, and you would
just
think
better.
Keith would.
But nobody put Marc Gasol as a top 10 player in the NBA. So then it's just he's taking that hate and he's putting it right on Jokic, and I think we should probably all tweet at him and tell him what a jerk he is.
Ryan, I saw you tweet just the other day an interesting stat about Jamal Murray, and I think it was that it's a list of players to score 20 points per game at age 21 or younger, and I believe they were all All-Stars with the exception of Jamal Murray. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, so I tweeted that today. Basically, there's a list of 17 seasons total in history of guys at age 21 or younger who have posted above 20 points per game in the playoffs. And we talk about various thresholds and different things that guys have to do. But I thought that was just a very simplistic way of saying, hey, look, he was a pretty good scorer at the age of 21. And all of those guys went on to be All-Stars. And I continue to see that trajectory, and I don't see any reason to deviate from that, saying, hey, look, there's no reason why he should top out at what he is right now. Like, he's still 23. Like, he is literally younger than me.
Yeah. And there's so much of what we are evaluating Jamal Murray on that is just based on, or like just doesn't include this season's postseason, which is where everybody's
everything.
That's what, like Jamal rose to the occasion last postseason, and players like in the middle of January, like sometimes don't play their best, and they don't rise to the occasion. They don't have that same pressure on that the playoffs bring, and you sort of find out who you are and how you're hard tempered in those pressure situations. And we're just stuck in purgatory, NBA purgatory. Like we're not in the off season, we're not in the postseason, we're not in the current season, we're just in the Michael Jordan doc season, and so it's hard to hard to know what to.
It's too bad because I was saying this like throughout really the last couple months that play was actually going on, but he could really rewrite the entire script on his regular season with what he did in the playoffs. And I actually feel like my thoughts on Jamal Murray are more aligned with Ryan's than a lot of people think, because I think he probably had a disappointing season based on where the expectations were, but he still grew in some areas for sure. And I think this goes for a couple guys on the Nuggets. A big run in the postseason could have really just flipped the script on what everybody thought about his year.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I continue to think he's going to get better is just the natural progression of this team around Nikola Jokic, around Jamal Murray, around Michael Porter Jr. A lot of the sets that they ran over the course of the last couple of years have started to look really similar. Started to look very similar with what they've done with Will Barton, the DHO game with Gary Harris. If you have three guys who are basically the same size, who are basically asked to do the same things, it's got to be kind of hard for Jamal to really stand out ahead of those guys when he has to share all of those opportunities in a very similar setting with Will Barton, with Gary Harris. Guys like Michael Porter Jr. are going to attack the floor in different ways. Nikola Jokic is obviously going to grow. With Jeremy Grant probably getting into the starting lineup next year, things are going to look a lot faster. They're going to move a lot quicker. I think it's really set up for Jamal to continue to operate in transition, get up a lot more shots, and I think he's going to break 20 next year.
But didn't you guys feel like, and let me tell me if you disagree, but remember at the very beginning of the season when Nikola Jokic kind of sleptwalked through the first month and a half? This was Jamal Murray's team. This was Jamal Murray's team for like the first month and a half of this season. So like we've seen him kind of take control in that regard and really just like have everybody fall in line behind him. Like this was his team for the first month and a half of the year, no?
And no, you're right. And, you know, I think a lot of us had thoughts about, okay, well, how did the offense look, though? Like, what was this team's identity while it was his team? But nonetheless, and to your point, Harrison, they were winning games and staying afloat without Jokic showing up, which is putting it gently.
I want to address a comment real quick here because I see somebody say, oops, that's not the comment I was going to address. It's right here. I don't think Jamal's the best player, future best, or highest potential. And I think we all agree with that. That's sort of, I think the headline of this show, the can Jamal Murray lead the Nuggets maybe is fooling people.
Right.
Clearly, Jokic is the best player now. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Ryan. You can agree or disagree, but I think it's very probable Jokic will always be the best player on the team. Maybe the Nuggets end up getting, a second true like superstar, like a Kevin Durant type player that could surpass him, and maybe a Michael Porter reaches this theoretical ceiling that could maybe be higher than Jokic's. But the argument isn't about Jamal being better than Jokic. It's about, can he be good enough that the Jokic Murray team is what wins a title?
Sure. And if Michael Porter Jr. gets to Kevin Durant level or even Paul George level or something like that, the Nuggets are winning 60 games perpetually. That's just how good a lot of these guys are.
Right.
And at that threshold, like, okay, maybe Jamal Murray is the third best player, but you're still in championship contention without having done anything about it. Like, this is, I think the conversation that we're having about whether Jamal is worth a max player contract is a little bit arbitrary, given that he's not on the max deal. You guys mentioned that last episode. I know that, hey, the next 5 years are where we're going to see it made or broken. And I would also push back on the notion that you can only have like 30 max contracts in the NBA because all of those guys are all-star worthy and you have to pay everybody to get to that level. And I don't think it's a wild take to think that Jamal could make a couple of all-star games over the 5-year length of his deal.
Not at all.
And I think they had to give him that deal personally. Just with being a small market team. I mean, you just look at the way the Utah handling of Gordon Hayward came back to bite them. And I don't think Jamal was in that kind of a place, but you can't really take those risks. Like I said in last night's show, your chances of drafting a better player or signing a better player are very low. And you want to do what you can to keep him happy here. So I do think they had to give him that deal.
What do you think his free agency would have looked like this summer in the coronavirus summer? Because that would have been the other option, was Denver would have had to have extended to him this year.
Right.
Are there going to be teams lining up to offer him a restricted max?
I mean, I think there would have been if we weren't in a worldwide pandemic, which nobody saw coming.
In the times that we're in,
would there have been, though? Would there have been? I mean, you have to figure out which teams are going to have cap space, which teams it makes sense for. Like Atlanta would have cap space, but it doesn't make sense for them to max Jamal. Like that's just not going to happen with Trae Young there. There would be teams. Phoenix, I think, would probably do that.
Don't you feel like Toronto would just try and
what about
bring
the
him in just
Knicks, man? The Knicks would offer Jamal Murray a max deal on July 1st at 12:01.
That's actually
that's a very true statement.
Well, but Toronto is Jamal Murray is a huge fan of the Toronto Raptors, as we found out. So maybe he'd take a hometown discount. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
He doesn't seem like that kind of guy.
I think my concern, and this is how I approach all of it, building a championship contender in Denver is just, it's never been done for a reason. It's so incredibly difficult, and you really have to nail every move. And my question, I personally do not have, it's within the realm of possibility, of course, but I don't believe Jamal Murray is going to ever be the second best player. And I think giving him a max, now it gets a little tricky in how you get somebody else that's better than him onto the roster now that you have two basically max contracts side by side. So that's how I judge the whole Jamal Murray story. And then when I look at him and I look at even his per 36 stats over the last 3 seasons, it's pretty stagnant. So I look at it and I go, there's areas of growth. To me, this is one of the biggest mistakes that teams make is they look at players and they say, oh, but he hasn't made the leap yet, but he's about to. He's going to. And it might happen. Sometimes it does. But what we just see in the numbers is a guy that has improved his efficiency a little bit. He's improved his playmaking a little bit. But for the most part, the numbers are pretty flat over 3 seasons.
Well, that's what happens when you stack the starting lineup with a bunch of guys who do a lot of the same stuff. I think one of the arguments for having Torrey Craig in the starting lineup was that it would put the ball in Jamal's hands a little bit more frequently, and he would have had to learn trial by fire for most of this season and have a lot more opportunity to put up shots. When you have that kind of a release valve, when you have a lot of guys who can do those things, or you try to work in the rotation, say Gary Harris, there was a long time that this team was trying to work in Gary Harris into getting his rhythm, finding his shot, taking mid-range floaters for some reason. And when you have a lot of guys who are competent, but there's no necessary delineation between who the stars are, I think that it blurs the lines a little bit more. So I really do think that if they clear the decks, if they put together a reasonable pecking order, that gets all ironed out. It looks a little bit different, and Murray starts putting up more shots, has the ball in his hands a little bit more frequently, and he may never be a guy who puts up 23 and 7 like a standard starting all-star caliber point guard, but you're never going to have that with Jokic. He always shares the ball.
Mm. The problem I run into with when we're talking about Murray's scoring, I mean, if we're saying he's not going to put up like 20 plus points and like do it on better efficiency, where else is he helping you out a lot? Because like my biggest disappointment with Jamal Murray this year was probably looking back on the playoffs. The Nuggets almost lost the first round series against the Spurs for a lot of reasons, but maybe the primary one was that they could not contain Derek White. And Jamal Murray was matched up on Derek White for those first 2 games. Obviously, we know what happened. They switched up the defense and saved the series. But I mean, if I was Jamal, I would have to think that you'd look at that series and be like, all right, like I got to come back as a much better defender and make sure that doesn't happen again. And he was a much better defender at the beginning of the season, and then that kind of faded. So I guess my question with him is always like, if he's not going to be the 20-plus point per game guy, and he could be that guy. I think he very well could be that guy. But if he's not, how much is he helping you out in the other areas?
It's a good question. It's you get to that point, like his job, and Adam has been on this for a long time. His job is to score. His job is to be the kind of the hammer, or at least the nail that goes into the teeth of the defense and really starts everything off. I do think that the platonic ideal of this team is having 3 guys who are 20-plus points per game, and that's Murray, Porter, and Jokic. Yeah. I think that you surround them with everything else. You continue to add defenders. You continue to make everything work. But I do think that it is a valid question that if he doesn't ever raise his usage, if he doesn't ever raise the efficiency, I do think that both of those things are going to happen. But it's very possible that it could look a little bit different over the course of the next 12 months. That, hey, if he's on this 5-year deal, it looks a lot worse if he's the same player.
What do you think he needs to work on, like specifically? So for him to take the next step, what are some of the things you think he's got to add or improve?
Well, the one thing that stands out the most is the pull-up 3. Yeah. He started doing that a lot better when he came back from the injury. The difference between his attempts were 5 attempts per game before the injury and 7 attempts per game after the injury. That was 32%.
Pretty good sample size. It was like 12, 13 games. I mean, enough that we kind of all felt like, okay, it seems intentional.
When he starts getting into that rhythm, if he can continue to be a pull-up jump shooter, somebody who spreads the defense vertically, one of the things that I've really thought the Nuggets have been lacking over the course of these last couple of years is Nikola Jokic rolling to the rim. He spends so much time at the perimeter where he's either picking and popping or rolling right into another DHO with another guy, when he's the most dangerous player at the dotted line in the entire NBA because of the way that he can pass the ball on the move and the way that he can hit that short floater. He doesn't spend enough time there. And the best way to do that, the best way to give him that much space is to have Murray as a guy who can space the floor vertically and pull the defense away from him.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like my biggest takeaway from that Trae Young game. Like, not just like, 40 and 11 is really cool, but also just, okay, if the ball handler is a guy who can pull up from three, who is automatic if you go under on a screen, what does that do to Jokic's spacing, and how does that make his life easier? And it's just something Jamal doesn't do. And I mean, at the end of the day, the 18 points are nice, but he finished this season at 34.5% from the three-point line. And I mean, that's not close to good enough, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's funny, man. Like, if Jamal Murray was shooting three-pointers with the frequency that he did right pre-All-Star break, and he's shooting that at 37-38% instead of 34-35%, he's probably an all-star. Like, if he's just shooting it a couple percentage points better with that increased three-point frequency, like, that totally changes his profile.
And that's part of what's frustrating about him is that you see that for 3-4 games in a row, and you're just like, man, this is the guy. That's it. That is the star. And part of this is maybe he's just young, and like that's what he will be here in a year or two. But I personally just felt like that's what I said 2 years ago, and then that's what I said last year, and that's what I said this year. But there is a little bit of, just wondering if it's coming. I just want to see him, Brian. I want to give you the floor though for this. I'm not trying to I think this is an interesting conversation. By no means do I feel like this is like his outcome is predetermined. That's not what it is. It's all like an odds, right? And I just felt like 2 years ago, I thought the chance that he was going to reach that potential was a lot higher. And it's just like, to me, the odds keep going like this. And they're not closed all the way because, like you said, he is 23 or whatever. I mean, he's got a lot more to grow, but it just seems like he's a little behind. Just a little behind what I would have hoped.
Sure. And I looked at the comparison between him and Bradley Beal over the course of the first 4 years of their career. It's almost identical. It is if the Nuggets were getting that level of player for the level of this 5-year contract, would you be happy? Would that be the second best player on a championship caliber team? Do we have that opinion?
If with the of Michael Porter Jr. working out, yes.
Well, this is part of the conversation, and this is part of the context. It's really hard to build a champion. It's like, some of this is that the standard for a champion is just so high that it's like, that team was awesome. They were a 60-win team, but they never got it done.
So one of the things that Keith said yesterday, that if you are a top 8 team in the league, then you should be okay with that. Then it's not necessarily a bad thing to be perpetually a top 8 team as long as you're consistent and you have a couple of chances here and then. If you have Murray locked in for a 5-year deal and you have Jokic locked in, assumably for the next 3 years and hopefully beyond, then that's a top 8 team in the league for the duration of their contract for sure, with the added assumption that, hey, Michael Porter Jr. could get better. They could trade for another all-star over the course of the next year or two.
Yeah, there's something funny about like the way people discuss basketball. Like there's some sort of like higher purpose that it serves. But I've enjoyed the hell out of going to Pepsi Center over the last 3 years, 4 years. Like when they were not a top 8 team, when they were a top 32 team, and you go and it's like fun. It's like awesome to see the improvement. Like I definitely want the Nuggets to win a championship. I'm not so foolish to think that I'm going to judge this era of success whether or not they win a championship. But there's like the Nuggets have been awesome. Like they have filled my winter with joy. They have filled my heart with glee. And what else do you want? I want a gleeful heart. And Murray gives me a gleeful heart. No, you don't at all. But you know what would make my heart swell like the Grinch and grow 3 times larger is if Jamal Murray would hit 1 out of every 10 pull-up 3-pointers. Like when he has the fast break and he stops and pops and he hits none of those shots ever. If he would hit one of those shots a season, I don't know what I would do with myself.
There are certain shots that are just worth more than others. The transition 3 is like one that is totally worth it, but it also kind of hurts a little more when you miss it because you're like, that was a fast break. What the hell?
Yeah. Jamal has like really loud misses too, like where he's like wide open and it's like, here we go!
Yeah.
God, it just clangs.
Always finds his hands too. And he's always got the ball.
Was it game 1 of the playoffs where he came in pulled the 3 air ball right away.
Oh, yeah.
And
We all knew he was going to do it, too. We all knew.
Oh my god!
And that's the same guy. And then he hit the Larry Bird behind the backboard shot.
The greatest shot of all time. The greatest NBA shot ever taken.
He's a
It's
really
really
good,
underrated.
tough shot maker.
Yeah, man,
He's really good.
it's so easy to forget, but he had like so many great moments in the playoffs last year. Game
That's why
2, and then in Portland, he kind of faltered in Game 7, but like
It was games 3 and 4, right? That he had 35, both on the road. It was 34, back-to-back 34-point games.
quadruple OT.
There were
ones.
nights when he was the reason why they almost lost, and there were nights where I was like, "Oh, this could be the second best player on the title team."
Yo, when Jamal gets rolling, he starts getting his blue arrow. Like I mean, there are times literally where I will stand up in my seat and I will scream to the point where I will get lightheaded, and then I have to sit back down because A, I'm at an advanced age, which you guys all know, and B, I don't want to topple down from the 3rd level into.
Ryan, what do you think a team looks like? What are the shooting guard and the power forward look like in a Porter Murray Jokic championship team?
It's the most fascinating part of the entire discussion because the first thing that you need from those positions is defense, of course. It's very hard to get a great defender who is as versatile as they need them to be at that position. But I really do think that the shooting guard I keep coming back to, who's not necessarily gettable, but kind of the ideal, is Matisse Thybulle. Somebody who defends everybody, somebody who you throw him the ball on occasion and he makes it work. But the guy who really is the defensive point guard, he is the guy who defends every single person on the floor, gets his hand in passing lanes, covers for everybody.
Honest question here. Is that Torrey Craig?
I've thought about it, and I'm not sure. I don't know if it is. I would lean no, just because I think we've seen what he can do from an offensive standpoint, and it's just not at the threshold that you need from a starter. We don't know about
you there though.
No,
we don't know. We don't know.
Thybulle might be
Yeah,
a worse offensive player than Torrey Craig.
So maybe
probably
it's
a better
Josh.
defensive player.
Maybe it's Josh
Yeah,
Richardson.
better
Maybe it's
defender.
somebody of that ilk who's is going to be a 4th or 5th option offensively, can handle themselves, but is also the defensive point guard. So the power forward is more interesting because I think that Porter is going to end up defending most of your power forwards. I don't think he's fast enough to defend most of the threes, and when you get him switched onto guards, I think that's going to look even worse as well. So I think Jeremy Grant's a really good pairing there, just because he is going to be your 3 defender. He's going to be, whenever you face an elite 3, he's going to be the guy who gets them.
God, I love this one right here. If he develops,
I know, the composure.
What do you think? Because I'm a big PJ Composure guy. I just love the physical tools.
South Carolina.
Oh, there you go. I was like, what, is that your PJ
he-
Composure shirt?
I've been waiting to bring it out the entire time. Honestly, PJ, I think he had an underrated season for this team, just because when he came in, when he came in, the expectations were so low. Nobody knew what they were going to get from him. You just throw him out, see what happens, and he immediately makes an impact. And I think it's notable that in the 7-man game, the Magnificent 7 against the Utah Jazz, he was a part of it. He was a versatile piece who could play
think about
1,
that a
2,
lot.
or 3.
Torrey as well, right? You had Torrey
yeah.
in that game. Like, you had a couple guys that are low usage, very narrow skill.
And this non-shooter at the 2, I mean, it's not quite the same thing as putting Craig in there in some of these lineups. If MPJ and Grant are alongside each other, and if Jamal Murray is shooting 2% better from 3, this is a different dynamic.
I've also always said the problem with Torrey Craig isn't just that his shooting isn't unreliable, because his shooting is actually okay, even though it looks gross. Like, the numbers are all right. It's that they don't feel comfortable allowing him to handle the ball. But Dozier does. I mean, he's a point guard. He's going to run pick and roll. And I wonder if that makes him more of a threat offensively, stretches the court more, just weirdly enough.
Jokic will pass him the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you make him a priority. I think you offer him a sizable deal, probably the Monte Morris special, just somebody who you can lock in for as long as possible at the cheapest as possible.
The Monte Morris special.
Because I think if you get into a situation where you have to trade some of these guys, you have to make a tough move. Monte Morris is the ideal guy, I think, in that situation, who, hey, he might be a starting point guard somewhere else, but there's no way he's going to be a starting point guard in Denver. So if the team could talk themselves into him,
piece of me would die. I just love Monte.
I do too.
Dude,
I
think he's good.
I All these conversations just make me realize what an insane homer I am, which you guys already knew anyway. But like, I just like every piece. I'm like, we can't let him go. I'm like a player hoarder. Like I want every one of our players. Like I want 50 guys on the bench that we can turn to.
But this is how you know that it was. That the Nuggets have done a good job of crafting this roster, because not everybody feels that way. There's a lot of rosters where you're like, God, I hate this guy and that guy. Nate Robinson and JaVale McGee.
Yeah, it's so true.
Knuckleheads.
It's also
so
why
true.
it's one of the real tragedies, of course, of losing this playoffs. Like we were saying at the start of the show, that's when you're gathering valuable data points. Monte could not have had a better regular season last year. He was awful in the postseason. Now, was he injured? We didn't know about it. Was it a fluke? Or is Monte not a 16-game guy? And if it's the latter, then that stuff factors into who you're willing to move on from and who you're not. And like to lose the period in which you would have gathered that data right now is like devastating, because I actually don't know yet if do you need to go to war with Monte, right? And questions like that are not answered because of this.
I just can't believe that he actually fell off last year. That's the guy that I give a 100% pass. At the start of the year, what did Wynn say? It was playoff debutitis. Like, I 100% think that's exactly what happened. If he had that again, a part of me would be crushed if he had like a terrible playoff again. It's like, oh man, maybe he is not a playoff guy.
I mean, the good thing is you need to play your backup point guard like maybe 10 minutes a game in the playoffs if you have Murray, Jokic, and Will Barton.
But like a devastating 10 minutes that like almost cost us.
And he hit a 3-point.
D-line, we're getting nothing but great ideas here. Not a PJ. PJs. The first ever DNVR pajamas.
Can you just take composure all over?
Yeah. Well, it'll be obviously.
Start next year.
It'll be like an oversized shirt, and you can wear it like Winnie the Pooh with no pants.
I'm for it.
Okay.
Oh man.
Should we hit a break real quick, guys?
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I'll give you a little. Give you something on the ones and twos.
Ooh.
I could talk actual basketball though for like an hour.
I know, it's so fun. We've been on a roll this week talking basketball.
Look at
Let's talk of food, guys, because
yes.
to inform everybody,
Yes.
I've got a new favorite from the Breck Brew Farmhouse that I ordered
What?
up the other day. The Avalanche Ale beer battered fish and chips.
Good
Absolutely
Chips.
to die for.
How very
Absolutely
British of you.
to die for.
Add it to the list, baby. Fish and chips.
Dude, any food item that has like 5 descriptors that before you hit the actual food, dude, that's a good food.
Yeah, the fact that they put Avalanche Ale beer batter just in front of it absolutely sold it for me.
Yeah, I mean,
that was like
yep.
enough for me. And then just online on the Farmhouse website right now, you can add a 6-pack of your choice for just $5 to a food order.
Ryan, are you sick of cooking yet, dude?
Dude, of course, man. I try to make it a weekly thing to get out, just or at least order something in, because I mean, there's only so much ramen that you can cook as a college guy.
Try the farmhouse, man, for real. The Breck Brew Farmhouse is where it's at.
I'll get right on it.
Call them up for delivery. You can get pickup there as well. They got a lot of great options. Also, guys, our newest sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook.
Let's go.
Hell
They
yeah.
get an air horn.
This DraftKings thing is actually dope. You guys have to check out DNVR Bets. Every day, a new little 20-minute pod. It's actually really dope.
Podcast is awesome, too. Quick listen, super informative. I don't think Ryan thinks he's ever missed on a pick ever.
He's missed on multiple picks though already in the infancy of this
Don't tell
podcast.
Yeah, so we got
The confident, arrogant line is here. Like, RK is over here somewhere.
Often over it.
Picks are locked every single off.
Well, we've got the KBO going, the Korean Baseball League.
We
My
gotta talk KBO.
Dinos are
believe.
3-0, baby.
Talking
3-0.
people into
Let's
gambling
go.
on the KP.
The Dinos are killing it right now.
Ryan, who's your since childhood? Who's been your big KBO team? I have to know.
Oh man, you already know that I have no idea what you're talking
What? You're not. So I grew up as a Samsung Lions fan ever since a week and a half ago since I learned that their existence, and they've done nothing but let me down ever since.
You were actually born in Samsung, so
I was.
Would it persuade you at all, Ryan, if you found out that the Dinos mascot was named Swole Daddy?
Swole?
Because that's what persuaded me.
You know, I mean, the college baseball teams or the minor league baseball teams, they always go creative with their stuff. So you got to get in on it, man. You just got to be as creative as possible to get so many people there.
Yeah, so you guys can bet on KBO, we got UFC coming up this weekend too.
Oh, that's right. Actually, tomorrow on the DNVR Bets Pod. Am I allowed to say this, Allie? Am I allowed to Yeah, I am.
Let it rip.
Curtis Blades.
Oh,
On the DNVR Bets podcast to preview the UFC event this weekend. So
Wait, really? I didn't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that. That's lit.
that is lit. I know.
Yeah.
Think about that. Like they get Curtis Blades and we get Ryan Blackburn. Like,
Eric,
Ryan
someone
can
boot
take him.
Eric. Someone boot Eric.
who's in control?
Get out of here.
I got to read this last part, guys. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. Do we have the thing that can speed up my voice here? Bonus is comprised of a first deposit bonus with a first bet match, each up to $500. Deposit bonus requires a 25 times playthrough. Restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you have a gambling problem, Eric, call 1-800-522-4700.
Like, if you're betting on the Korean Baseball League.
Yeah, we should all put that number in our contacts.
I did not. I've not bet on the KBO. I don't have the. I'm not Ryan, but not Ryan RK, not Ryan Blackburn. Although I do see the sweet logo behind you, Ryan Blackburn of the Denver Broncos. I'm so proud of it. I love it.
Yeah, man.
I did put a big. I put a 50 dog on the Broncos to hit over 7.5 wins this next season.
That is not a high threshold given what the expectations
I couldn't agree more.
are.
Couldn't agree more.
Eric needs to win some bets so he can upgrade his wardrobe.
What does that even mean?
Oh, that's so rude.
It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't. This is the joke is my wardrobe, but half the time I see these guys, they are wearing things that I made.
Oh, what a flex! That is the ultimate flex to say that you are wearing the clothes that I put on your back.
Yeah. Are you a designer, Eric? Cool. Tell me more about it later. Wind, are we back from the break?
We good.
Are we ready to do this?
Yeah.
All right, Ryan. Since you are familiar with the program, then we like to play some games on this here program. We've got a drum roll in place. We're just waiting
My
for
hands are free now, so I'm.
Our fancy reveal. We're gonna play thumbs up, thumbs down. This is a very high level complex. Thankfully, you went to college, so you'll probably understand this. So we're gonna give you something, and then if you like it, thumbs up.
Wow.
If you don't like it as much,
Very complicated
Yep,
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
We went over it.
if you need me to go over it again, just
Do you understand the rules? Say thumbs up
I'll
if you understand the
my
rules.
nose as indescriptively as possible to give me some help, bro.
Can we put this last comment up on the
I
screen,
didn't.
please?
First of all, I didn't say anything. So don't hold me responsible for the vultures in the comments. Adam, do you have the list of questions for this already, right?
What?
1 second on
No?
screen. Unbelievable.
Do I have a list of questions for what?
For this segment, weren't we readapting? No.
Oh. What is that?
And that was thumbs up and thumbs down.
Thumbs up. Everyone, what do you think of the segment? I can't thumbs down.
Oh, wow.
You can.
That-
we,
That's what I thought we were
We
doing.
could just make
all right.
up some things like banana bread. Thumbs up.
Yeah. Hold on. Give me
clearly.
a second. Ryan, Tom Cruise. Thumbs up. Thumbs down.
Oh, thumbs up, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love Tom Cruise. Dude,
Yeah,
the Mission
big thumbs
Impossible
up for
movies
Tom
are
Cruise.
so underrated given what they do to make those movies. It is unbelievable.
Wow, I tapped
Don't-
into something important to Ryan. Thank God. He's like,
man,
I'm ready.
doesn't
to-
Are you a little unnerved that he's not aged even a day in the
oh,
last
he
10
has.
years?
The last 5 years.
When
of
you're
his
that
life.
He looks
rich,
younger than
Eric,
I
you
am.
can live forever.
He looks younger than Ryan.
Honestly, it's
Are
not
you
going the
Devin?
way the 23-year-old wanted.
Are you devastated by the delay of the Top Gun sequel? Yes or
No,
no?
honestly,
down.
that's one that I haven't gotten as into. I think the Top Gun is a good movie. I don't think it is a great movie, but it's not because it's because I didn't grow up with it. It's because it wasn't what I grew up on. So
I crossed a college off of my list. I was on a recruiting trip, and they wanted me to watch Top Gun because they were like the guys on the team thought it was the best movie, and I right then and there was like, I'm not going. 100% true story. They were
Man.
so into Top Gun, and I was like, oh.
I don't get it.
All right, well, I'm out of thumbs up, thumbs down. You guys.
What about
I was going to ask MPJ. I was enjoying this basketball conversation. So MPJ, like, obviously thumbs up because we all like him. But how do you see his career panning out? Like, are you buying MPJ?
Sure. I mean, I think everybody should be buying MPJ at this point. It is wild to me that so many other places don't buy MPJ for some reason.
Nobody saw him play though. I think that's a large part of it.
The reason you don't buy MPJ is because you talk to people who saw his medical report, and
Yeah,
John
of course.
Hollinger said this on a recent podcast. But he said he'd be surprised if MPJ, can play more than 30 minutes a game for 5 straight seasons. Like, that is a thought that I think is held by a lot of GMs. That's why he slid on draft night. So that's why you're not buying MPJ if you're not.
Well, OG Anunoby was red flagged, and he's probably the best perimeter defender in the NBA right now. So let's just let's put a nail in that coffin, I guess. I think
there's some real groupthink with injuries because a lot of these guys don't want it. Like, well, I hear everybody says no, and I don't want to be the guy that says yes, and then it turns out bad. I think there's a lot of fear from GMs on that specific subject.
Until we actually hear about a basketball or a back-related injury that he's had that is actually stemming from what he had, I'm not concerned about it. I really do think that you have to continue pushing the envelope, and if you get up to 30 minutes per game and he gets hurt, then you cross that bridge when you come to it. But at this point, we've seen some really special stuff from the dude. He is one of the most impressive shooters I think we have all collectively ever seen in a Nuggets uniform. Just the way that he continues to get off his shot in the most incredible ways, and his game is versatile enough that he's not just a shooter. He's going to attack the rim. He's going to grab rebounds. I really do think that he could be a playmaker at some point. The stats don't bear that out, but the vision certainly does. I think there is some vision there that in a situation where you don't have Jokic on the floor, you can at least put the ball in his hands and let him go to work.
Are you a little bit happy, like this time, in the times that we're in, the reprieve you were given from worrying about MPJ minutes? Does that feel a little bit good, not having to worry about that night after night after night and have to answer those questions?
Yeah, I still get it, honestly. Like, people are still asking me, like, why isn't MPJ playing? And I'm telling them it's because the coronavirus. Come on, guys. Like,
because literally no one's playing.
Yeah, like literally. But honestly, no, I think this has been talked about in various podcasts, and I think it holds true that once you get to year 2, once you get the rookie stink off of you, he's going to play. There's no way that they can keep him on the bench and say, hey, we're going to keep you on the bench and we're going to make you earn it. We're going to keep doing that. I just don't see that. He is too good. He is too talented. And so much of their hopes are tied to him being the player that they think he can be. So,
wow, lengthy answer, just long enough. You stalled perfectly for us, Ryan. We have our backup game in place here.
Hold on. Go for it, Harrison.
The last thing I was going to say about MPJ is, like, we've talked about his stats a lot this year, but I still don't know if we've talked about them enough, just what he did from an efficiency standpoint. And the fact that this guy was the best rebounder from the small forward position, not out of rookies, but in the entire league this year. He had the best rebounding percentage out of any small forward this year. And so, like, I just think he...
multifaceted, has so many tools.
I think finally happened on air.
Harrison, cut the mic.
We gotta cut Harrison out.
What the heck?
Actually, no, keep talking for a
Actually,
minute.
what we gotta do is
It was so amazing. How is it's like that was a novelty mic.
Oh, no, I think, Harrison, you're absolutely right, man. And that versatility, that ability to play both as a small forward, but I think that allows him to play as a power forward in a lot of situations where, hey, he's not going to get out rebounded by most power forwards. His numbers translate there as well. And I think some of his best minutes this year, we saw him playing next to Jeremy Grant as a small ball 5. And in all honesty, Porter was the guy defending the biggest player on a number of those occasions. He was very good in those situations, and I think his presence allows the Nuggets to play better players and play more versatile lineups, and they're just going to be really good when he's on the floor.
Yeah. Last one, Murray or MPJ? 3 years from now, who's the better player?
Oh, you're asking me to pick between two of my children.
It's not that hard,
Yeah.
by the way.
I think it's Murray still, but because Porter's already shown so much. He's already okay. I will say Porter, but the only reason that I say it is because I have a lot of faith in Porter. It's not like I don't have a lot of faith in Murray. I think that they're both going to be really good. I think they're both going to be all-star caliber, and I just think the 6'10" shooter is probably the more valuable player at this point.
Okay. All right. It's interesting. Hey, man, if they all turn out to be that good, Jokic, Murray, MPJ, the thing that sucks about the NBA is oftentimes if all three of those guys are good, you might only have them for two more years after this. But if they do all pan out, man, that's a really, really good team.
You're winning 60 perpetually.
Yeah. Let's figure it out. All right, what do we got, Vote?
All right, it's time. Enough sensible, real basketball analysis. Let's get this train off the rails. And so with that, I will hand it over to the master at doing just that, D-Line, for Online with D-Line.
It's Online with D-Line. Can you guys believe it? All right, let's go.
I can't believe it's still a segment.
It doesn't really seem like it should be a segment. It barely feels like a segment to begin with. But what's going on online these days? Let's find out. Okay, so the first thing we've got here is we are celebrating a anniversary today. Let me get some. Let's listen to this. This was 1994. Listen to this clip here. I'm going to start it over again. This is incredible.
Most 8 seeds don't have the luscious hair of John Elway.
Look at that hair.
Get ready to fight combo!
Wow. Incredible.
John Elway, best quarterback
That's
in
good.
the NFL.
Listen to this.
Washington, D.C.
You think
He still
he'll
does
win a
this
Super
at
Bowl?
Nuggets
No.
games, if you can
Can't
believe
win the
it.
big game.
Did you hear this last part though? This is
the
the
big
greatest
game.
part.
Think he'll ever win a Super Bowl? No. You can't win the big game.
Man.
Most 8 seeds
Is that's Linda Cohn too, isn't it? Like one of my faves.
Oh, God. Calling
Cannot win the big game.
Not win
John
the big
Elway.
game, calling out John Elway. Oh, it just tells you, man, we've been doing these takes for forever. They're always so reductive. So and so can't win. It's just like they haven't, ergo they can't.
yeah. But
What is the
That's
last?
all of sports?
What's the last word Elway yelled there? Does anyone know?
get ready to Matumbo. Let's get ready to
An
Matumbo.
all timer.
Which is the greatest thing that you can shout at a Nuggets game at this point.
100%.
That's great.
We should do
and a
that
lot-
anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. In the same vein, look at this is what we got in 1994. This is the anniversary of the most iconic Nuggets shot, the most iconic Nuggets scene, which unfortunately for the Nuggets is just a first round victory. All the same, look at this, beautiful,
Oh yeah.
beautiful. Did any of you watch this? Adam, you watched this when it actually happened? Yes.
To be honest with you, I don't know because I was only 9 at the time, so I
wasn't born.
I can't say that I actually remember it. But you have to remember something, Eric. I don't remember anything from like
That's a great point.
prior to 3 days ago.
That's a great point. I did watch this. I watched this in my basement as a middle schooler, and I felt a lot of feelings that have carried me over into today and through the Brian Shaw era. It's been enough to carry me through. So, big day for the Nuggets, 1994. So this is a little segment called.
Hold on, Ryan. Where would the Nuggets be right now if the season never got canceled?
Losing in the second round to the Clippers.
So down like 3-1.
No. I think that they pushed the Clippers to 6. Like Murray had a bad game. Like he had a bad performance in the primary Clippers game that we all talk about. But Jokic was really good.
Don't speak about that game.
Yeah, I do think that Murray would rise to the occasion. He would help get the Nuggets a couple of wins, and then they would lose in 6 games and on the home floor, and that would suck. But honestly, like they would still be in a good position, and the Clippers are a championship contender. What can you say?
Yeah. All right.
I'd be a little worried about Murray and Patrick Beverly. I think Murray would have a couple good games, though, like Ryan said.
So Ryan, it sounds like you've not been enjoying your time during quarantine, unfortunately. But have you done anything as clever or as productive as this gent?
I have not. I've seen this video. It is a great video. But no, that had to take so much time, and I can't.
Look at
I
this
cannot
guy.
spend that much time. Like, no way.
Oh my god! I didn't know where we were going. That's so good. The two-hand tiger wheel.
Where do you guys land on Round Ball Rock? Is it the greatest song of all time or the greatest song of all time?
It's the greatest song of all time. Have you guys ever seen, though, John Tesh actually performing it, like, with the symphony behind him?
Fake basketball dribble, like his even fake dribble is terrible.
So good. Yeah.
It's probably like the best 2-minute clip on YouTube right now.
It's so good.
I love the way he's such a storyteller too. And so I called myself, and I love so dramatic. Like, all right, John Tesh.
Also, like in that video, he goes, "Yeah, I just wanted to write a theme song for a sports league." Like, how do you even think of that? Like, I just want to write a theme song for the NFL right now. All right, let's do it.
That's what
You
know.
get a really big gong, and you boom. That's step one for the NFL.
That's what visionaries do. So anyway, Ryan, there's no need to fret. You can always find creative ways to fill your time, and I suggest you start.
Of course,
That's a really
man.
nice kitchen. That's a really look at that
It
kitchen.
is a nice kid. He's got, and like the the cookware itself is pretty nice. It has like nice acoustics. It
The cookware.
yeah, it's called cookware, Harrison. I realize you live in an apartment, but it's called cookware.
I mean, I have like cooking.
So this is a segment called "Can You Believe These Guys Were Ever Young?" The first one.
Oh, wow.
Do you even know who this is?
Of course.
Do the young people know who this is?
George Carl.
It's George Carl.
This
Look
is
at
George
that.
Carl. Look at
my
this.
God, yeah.
Look at this man.
I wouldn't have known.
Look at how
Honestly, I
impressive
can't
his
envision
jawline
George
is.
Carl with hair, but now I have, and I'm kind of frightened.
And his great.
What do you mean you're frightened? I'm enticed. I'm allured. Look at this man.
I never
Oh
would have
no,
thought
it's a great man.
that he would be a jawline and biceps guy. To be
And not
honest.
only that, look at this.
wow.
He's wearing a chain. He had swag in a way that we weren't prepared to deal with. So second in line of guys, can you ever believe that they were young before? Is Greg Popovich dunking the basketball?
Yeah, this is absurd. This is
Wow, yeah.
absolutely absurd. How does it make you feel that Greg Popovich could dunk?
Yeah, I was like,
crazy,
I thought he
man.
was just
Pretty bad.
king of the nerds, but nope.
Pretty
Greg Popovich is not tall. He's not tall at all.
I know he's as
What
tall
is
as
he,
you are,
6'1"?
Harrison. What's going on,
He's
man?
look at this. He played. He's the senior center.
Center,
Those socks,
wow.
man. Those are something to behold on a basketball court.
Well, and like people used to play basketball in Converse, which
Look
I
at
don't
those
even.
shoes. Oh, those definitely look like.
If you ever if you've ever like walked down the street wearing Converse, you know it's like a difficult proposition. But to play, it's a dunk.
What year is this from, Eric?
I don't
need a firm date on this.
I don't.
1874, I believe.
Yeah, this is from 1874.
I'm just thinking Converse had like maybe a 30-year reign on the NBA. Shoot.
They absolutely did. They absolutely did.
From
Things
this
moved
up
slower
until
back
Jordan.
in the day, though. I mean, come on.
Chuck Taylor's, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably honestly ESPN. We'll probably get into it in the coming days, but put out a bunch of top 74 lists. They did the top 74 basketball shoes, which were an absolute atrocity. But Chuck Taylor's might be like one of the top basketball shoes ever made, as far as like not for playing basketball in, obviously, but just the design of the shoe, like what has maintained and anyway. And lastly, can you believe this person was ever young?
I like this game. Can you ever?
First of all, Jeff was not 16 at 1995. At least 100 years old.
Dude.
Glasses are awesome.
I kind of want to frame them.
King of Thornton.
The king of Thornton.
Shout to
And,
Jeff.
yeah,
That is a king right there.
unbelievable. And
That's why.
I'm actually glad I saw that. Well, we're
That
getting
is-
close
that-
to going
and that
on here,
was
guys.
Online with D-Line.
Thank you, D-Line. Honestly, thank you for that last image. That's a blessed image. Harrison Wind, we got another read to do, man. So do you want to take us into that before we get out of here?
Yeah, we got a couple more. Guys, if you haven't downloaded WGT, I mean,
What are you doing?
what the heck are you doing
What
out
are you
there?
doing?
Ryan,
WGT
You
is
missed the
so
boat because you
awesome.
should have downloaded it 2-3 weeks ago when I wasn't good. Because now
it's over.
I am
for you,
incredible.
Yeah, all right. Now, this is a test of our honesty here. Who has used actual money to buy clubs
Hell no.
or apparel on WGT? Because
No,
I
I
have
just-
not, and I never will.
I just win. I just win enough.
Yeah.
Adam, is there a murder hornet in your?
Hornet.
There's a mock.
Yeah, but if you guys haven't downloaded it, man, you're missing out. We do tournaments every weekend, I think. We did one last weekend. DNVRgolf.com. That's the link to download WGT from. And then you can join the DNVR Clubhouse where, all our tournaments happen. So it's the place to be. It's an awesome game. Like, I'm not trying to blow this up. It's like a really good iPhone.
It's actually
so
super
check
fun.
it out.
I've played it already for like 30 minutes today.
Harrison likes it because he won the GD tournament.
I don't know. I never got a trophy or anything for that.
Yeah, we're not giving
you never will either. You never will either.
We'll just quietly send the shirt to the other guy who tied with you and never acknowledge your victory.
Yeah. Also, guys, of course, Strava Craft Coffee. You can get 20% off when you use code DNVR20.
Just got
Glorious.
some.
Just got some? Hell yeah.
Just got a shipment.
Of course, packed with CBD. Helps with long-term migraines, decreases your anxiety, arthritis, etc. And you can get Strava Craft Coffee online for 20% off using code DNVR20.
Man, we just lost Bucket. We just had our contestant for the steps, and then he just dipped out. So I guess who that means our contestant is tonight.
I love it. I kind of wanted this anyway.
It's gonna be Ryan.
Oh, baby!
Are you ready to climb the steps, Ryan?
Sure, let's do it, man.
Ryan, good news though. You can consult yourself if you need help with any of the questions.
You're your own hotline.
Steps question.
Don't worry, I won't need help
one.
myself on this one.
What is the name of Wes Unseld Jr.'s father?
Wes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah,
No, it's a good answer. We just
honestly, I panicked on it.
You thought for a second, I don't know. Oh, wait a second. Yeah.
Holy hell.
How many games did the Nuggets and Trailblazers playoff series last season?
That would be 7.
Man, this is going to be really easy for somebody that covered the team. These questions.
We'll see.
These questions were not written for somebody who watches every game.
They were for
around the team.
mere mortals. Who led the Nuggets in assists per game this season?
That would be Nikola Jokic, sir.
That is correct.
Cruising through the steps.
Number 4. What is Jamal Murray's career high in points, and who did he set it against?
That would be 48 against the Celtics.
Man, he's just too good. He's
unbelievable.
You covered
racing through this one. Number 5. What team was Paul Millsap drafted by?
I hope this isn't a trick question, but I'm going to say the Utah Jazz.
That is correct.
He wins a sticker pack.
If anybody has ever raced through the first 5. Absolutely, absolutely incredible. We do have some. Well, we have David, who's been in here. I think.
Yeah.
But you know what?
You can piggyback off of.
Too late. Ryan is the contestant, but good news.
I wanted to be the one to help him.
You're the advisor. So Ryan gets the prize and all.
Well, first off, we don't even know if Ryan wants to chance it.
So I get to help him try to make it through the steps, but I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm like the anti-Matt Moore, which means he might win.
Yeah, exactly. You won't talk him out of anything.
But yeah, we don't know if Ryan wants to keep going up the steps.
Oh yeah, so Ryan, you have a sticker pack. I could mail it to you, or you could risk it all.
Ooh. As enticing as the sticker pack is, and it is enticing. I've seen the stickers.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go for it.
Yes.
All right. Number 6. Man, I'm kind of curious to see how far Ryan could go. I didn't know all the answers to the ones coming up. Number 6. Which team did the Denver Nuggets beat in their first game this season?
That would be the Portland Trailblazers.
That is correct.
Oh, baby.
That is correct. Number 7. Name the 3 undrafted players currently on the Denver Nuggets roster. This one is kind of tough. I'll pour my music. Nerve-wracking music.
Can I take my time with that? I
No.
think a little bit. Oh, great. Thank you.
Allie has to go somewhere here in 7 minutes. Are you time?
Man, see, I can't even think about it, honestly. Jeremy Grant was drafted. I know that. Paul Millsap was drafted. PJ was not. No. Ooh. He was drafted.
He was drafted.
This
You
question
might want to ask
By
David.
the way, I'm going to tell you right now, this question was brought to you by Harrison Wind, who is furiously fact-checking his own self at the moment.
I was just gonna say, I'm not sure if that's even right.
Oh, I can't wait for him to be wrong on this one. Oh, I think he was.
What was he? Oh, yeah. Okay, so Noah Vonleh was drafted. Bol was drafted.
I think I'm right on this
You
question.
are right. He is right. Okay, good. Good work.
Crap. Okay.
I double checked this one like 3 times too.
David,
Man,
you're leaving. You hang out to dry.
Let's go to Dave.
You got anything for me, David?
So you got Tori, right? Tori.
Oh, that's one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, who's even on this team anymore?
I thought Jared Vanderbilt was on this team for like the last 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, no, I saw an
Mike
article. And I
just
was like,
randomly
what?
going crazy.
I got Tori, so I'm done.
You have produced one. That is true.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only like 13 guys on the team. I mean,
I don't know if he's frozen or if he's just frozen.
Oh,
Is he frozen?
you guys all cut out for me for a second. No, I'm here.
Torrey Craig is one. I'll give you that one. You guys got one.
Hello.
So
Ryan's
God.
faking that he's losing.
What just
I love
happened?
it. He's pretending to cut out so he doesn't get it wrong. I love it. Great move. Elite move right there.
yeah, it's side.
That's hilarious. Oh God.
Oh my god.
Okay. I'm just gonna. Okay. I think you're right about. You're definitely right about Torrey. I think Troy Daniels is one. And gosh, PJ was drafted.
Diop, was he drafted? Is he still on this team?
Yes, he was drafted in the second round. Flacco was drafted. Oh my God, who is it?
Time's starting to tick down.
Yeah, we gotta be.
Yeah, we gotta put a timer on this, baby.
I don't know, guys. You want to take a guess, David?
I'm like,
We need a
It's-
final answer.
Troy, Torrey, and somebody else.
yes, with somebody else. Putting up 5 and 5.
4.
I can't.
You got 5 seconds. You got 5 seconds. Just put a name out there, guys. Just put a name out there.
Let's go with no, it's Will Barton. I don't know.
I get to say.
It was PJ Dozier, undrafted. He was picked up by the Celtics
Oh, I said
afterwards.
PJ. I gave him all.
He didn't want it. He did not accept it. It was PJ. It
Well, and what you've won, David, is you're now the site manager of the Denver Stiffs.
Oh, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, guys, thanks for hanging out. Ryan, I know you can kind of hear me.
Is Ryan banned us
Yeah.
forever?
He's in the backstage. He can
He's
see
in the
you.
backstage.
He's in the
Ryan,
Shadow Realm.
We know you can hear us. Thanks so much for coming on. Enjoy your time in the Shadow Realm. Hope it treats you better than the quarantine realm. For everyone else, thanks so much for hanging out with us. We got more tournaments coming up this weekend. DNVR Jackbox Games, WGT Golf. I think
DNVR plays, baby.
Rocket League 2v2. So, yeah, check out the sign-up sheet in the Discord if you're a member. And, yeah, we'll talk to you guys again tomorrow at noon. Short show before the weekend. Thanks for hanging out.
Adios, everyone. I think Allie's going to hit the end. We never coordinate who hits the end broadcast. I think